What's up everybody, my name is Brendan and this is BigBearB Creative. Welcome back to another Friday photography how-to video. I know this one came out a little bit later than what we normally do. That's because I've been working on a big project with some people I know, so kind of pushed back my normal kind of scheduling, I guess, for Friday's videos. Sunday's video is still going to be coming out normal time. That I don't have anything planned on on the day that I typically shoot those, which are on Saturday, so I'll do those the day before you guys see them. But yeah, so that one should be coming out just as normal, just as planned, so make sure you guys are subscribing so you can check that out. We're going to be kind of going a little bit into a more specific, it'll be like a how-to photo editing video, so I'll be telling you guys a little bit how you could do a very common type of photo editing technique for all the Photoshop users and all those kind of people. We're going to be using that on Luminar 3 just because I really like that platform and that editing software. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you're subscribing so you can stick around for that on Sunday. But today, Friday, I'm also recording this on Friday, so it makes sense this time unless you're watching it in the future. But so today I'm going to be showing you 5 very common mistakes that a lot of new beginner photographers kind of do that they don't really realize that they're doing. But if you avoid these 5 things, it's really going to step up your game and make you look more like a professional and get you well on your way to mastering landscape photography. So we're going to go down from 5 down to 1 in order of kind of how bad, I guess, they can be in a way. More of like simple mistakes that just slightly tweaking will do much better, give you much better results, and then go down to 1, which is like this makes or breaks the difference of a more professional photo or more of a average tourist photo. So let's start with number 5. So number 5 of the beginner photographer, landscape photographer mistakes you need to avoid, that's going to be shooting at eye level. You're not a portrait photographer here. You're a landscape photographer, which means you're not shooting at your eye level. Everyone sees at their eye level. So basically the photos that you're taking, people have already seen. The thing about landscape photography is that you need to capture different parts of our world to share with people that they've never seen, capture from a different perspective or anything like that. So that means that you need to adjust where you're shooting from. And you know this applies to you if the first thing you do when you get out on your scene and you already know kind of what you're going for, so you know the subject that you're shooting, you get to your subject and the first thing you grab is the tripod. And you just set it up, open the legs all the way up, set it down, and just start shooting. You know this applies to you if that's what you typically do. The first thing you need to do instead of grabbing that tripod is you need to actually walk around your subject if you can. At least walk around your composition. Find certain angles that are going to work best, or even change up the original composition that you had because it didn't quite work. But the thing is, you just need to grab that camera first and walk around and look through your camera, either through the viewfinder or the live screen, or whatever it is you prefer. You should probably go more with the little viewfinder on the top because that'll be most accurate, because it'll let you see without having to adjust the settings. So it'll actually let you see what it is that you're taking photo of. But yeah, you need to be looking through that, and that means you're going to need to start up high, go low. You might be taking a knee, sitting down, laying down. Whatever it is to find that right composition you need to do. Because as a landscape photographer, that's our job. Get dirty and find the different views or the different angles that most people don't see of a subject to really kind of give it its proper dues, if that makes sense to you. So that's number 5. Don't shoot at your eye level. Shoot anywhere else but, basically. So then number 4 is going to be to stop focusing on the gear so much. Of course, when you're getting into photography, you know, you watch all these videos about photographers telling you about different gear and kind of how it helps, different lenses. This kind of camera has a better native ISO, or it lets you shoot at a higher ISO without getting the ISO noise, or so on and so forth. While that's great, you need to know how to actually shoot your photos. So stick with your base camera, because if you're immediately going and buying a more high-end camera, that's going to be thousands of dollars. Even the lenses are going to be an additional thousands of dollars. So just go ahead and stick with that base camera that you already have and the base lens, whether it be the typical 18 to 55, or maybe you got another one just because you wanted some different focal lengths. So it could be like a 55 to 200 or whatever it is. Stick with the more base ones and practice sucking at taking photography. As kind of harsh as that sounds, but practice sucking at it until those mediocre photos that you're taking turn into portfolio items, things that you could actually sell. Because then when you actually do later on go and buy that $1,000 camera body and $1,000 lens or more, you're actually going to get a better return on your investment because you already know how to take photos. So you're going to be able to take great photos at even higher quality that you could then sell as photo prints or sell to certain types of businesses like travel agencies or anything like that. You actually will get a return on your investment in terms of that camera. But if you're going out like as soon as you start as a beginner landscape photographer, going out and buying that $3,000 camera body with a $2,000 lens and another $2,000 lens, you're basically just going to be sitting at home with that camera and those lenses in your bag because you just blew all your travel money. So just go ahead and practice sucking, but going out to great different locations and actually practicing getting better and becoming a true master of photography, and then have that nice lens that's really, or nice camera body and lens to make you just have a higher quality overall. So stop focusing on the gear, get better at actually practicing photography, because it's like I said, if it's just sitting in your camera bag in your office or your home or whatever, because you blew all your travel funds on that, you're not going to be able to practice and actually get better. So practice over gear. That's number 4. And then in terms of the third beginner landscape photographer mistakes you need to avoid, that is to stop shooting during harsh light, which is unfortunate because harsh light is what the majority of the day is. You just kind of have to avoid it as much as you can, because if you're shooting during that harsh light, you're not going to get a well-balanced photo. You're going to have either things blown out in your highlights, or you're going to have things basically just be underexposed in your shadows because you had to compensate for the highlights, because things just aren't evenly balanced in terms of the light. Because it's the harsh light, because it's straight above you. If there's like an overcast weather happening, then you'll have a little bit of leeway there, just because the clouds are going to diffuse the light a little bit. But if there isn't that and you're still out in the middle of the day shooting, it's just not going to give you a good photo, because like I said, you're going to have either too bright or too dark, and you can't really balance that. It's going to make the edits look weird. So just avoid shooting in harsh light. How do you do this? Well, there's great times to shoot, and they're going to be in the morning and in the evening / at night. So you can either shoot in the morning blue hour, morning twilight, or morning golden hour, or shoot in the evening golden hour, evening twilight, and evening blue hour. You could also shoot throughout the night if you're interested into astrophotography. That's a really, really fun way to take photos. Plus you get to look at the beautiful stars that, again, we don't get to see, going back to that whole tip 5 or things to avoid with number 5 with the whole changing the view. Kind of goes the same with astrophotography, because you don't see as many stars as you can actually take with your camera. So really fun. I really enjoy astrophotography. If you guys want more astrophotography videos, let me know down in the comment section below. But yeah, so that's number 3, avoid that harsh light. For mistake number 2 for beginner landscape photographers, that is avoiding the light meter. Now, a lot of people, you might not know exactly what this thing is when you see it on your camera, but I'll throw up a little photo down in the corner and I'll show you what it is. So basically it's dashes, I guess you could describe it. It'll go from a positive and a negative side. And that's going to tell you if something in your element or your composition, if an element in your composition, that's a better way to say it, is overexposed or underexposed. So you want those those dashes that come up on either side, you basically don't want any. You want it to be right in the middle, because that's going to tell you that your photo is properly exposed. It goes along great with the histogram that a lot of people tend to use more. However, if you're shooting on a beginner DSLR for landscape photography, that histogram typically won't show up on your LCD screen until after you take the photo. So if you're in live view, it's typically not there. The light meter, that is going to be available for you to look at, so you can make sure you're getting that proper exposure. Of course, because like it goes back again with the whole harsh light. If you have too much in the highlight or too much in the shadow, and you're trying to bring it all back, it's going to mess up a little bit of the actual final look of the photo. So just if you're shooting a proper exposure, or if you're blending the proper exposures, then you're going to have a much better, more high quality photo, which is going to help you out in the long run. So just make sure you're using that light meter. It's going to help you guys out a lot. Trust me. So now we're down to number 1. The number 1 thing that all beginner photographers do that's a huge mistake, and it's actually what separates the look of the photos from being more of a professional look to more of a normal tourist look, and that's composition. And it has to do with how flat or confusing that composition is. Because when it comes to actually taking a photo, there are 4 elements you need to have. And that's going to be a foreground, midground, background, and something that is drawing focus to your subject. So whether that is your subject itself, or reflection, some sort of leading line to your subject, whatever it is, you need that. but you also need that foreground, midground, and background to fully develop the photograph. Otherwise it's kind of gonna look a little half done, or just like someone just like, oh, this is really nice, like a tourist just walking along a trail, it's like, that's cool, and took a photo. But that's not what you are as a landscape photographer. You study your scene and you want to develop an actual proper photograph that's going to represent that subject at its best look, I guess you could say. So that's why you need to keep all these in mind. So I'm bringing up a photo for you guys to look at. It's going to have 3 of these 4 elements, and it's missing one of those elements, which is going to completely ruin the actual composition of a photograph. So as you can see with this photo, it's really cool. We have that midground of the ocean that's really calm, smooth, which is really fun to get, but there's no subject there. We still have the foreground of the sand and we have the background of the sky, but there is no strong subject. So without that strong subject, the photo's kind of ruined. Like, sure, it looks cool, like smooth ocean water, that never happens, but this photo did it. So it's kind of cool, but there isn't a strong subject. So perhaps if this was later in the night or something, and I took it with a longer exposure and got like a Milky Way going over it, then I would have that strong focus. That's something that's really proud there, that's gonna draw the viewer's eye or something like that. But this doesn't have that. So instead, I'm gonna show you another photo that I took, basic, same area that I was at, just moved over about maybe 100 yards or so, and used something else to be my subject. So as you can see in this photo, and you guys have probably seen it in this channel a couple times, but this pier turned into my subject, the thing that actually drew the audience attention. I still have the sand for the foreground, the waves or the smooth ocean water for the midground, and the sky for the background. So now with that pier, it actually creates a strong focal point. It also creates leading lines, which is another great thing in kind of counteracting that flat image that we had with the first one I showed you. With the second one, because it's a pier, it has those columns and then the top that's actually drawing the audience's eyes in, which is going to make the flat image that we had with the first one turn into a 3-dimensional photo, because it's actually going to draw people in. It's going to give it depth, which is what you want. And it's not confusing, because the first one you're like, okay, cool, like different shades of blue, smooth water, all right, but like what's the focus? Like, what am I supposed to be looking at here? But in the pier one, it's obvious I'm supposed to be looking at the pier, and then that foreground, midground, and background are just certain elements that we add in to just support that subject. So that's mistake number 1. You need to correct that if you want to start producing more professional photographs of your landscape photography. So yeah, so again, let's just do a quick little recap. So 5, stop shooting at eye level. Shoot anywhere but, basically. 4, stop focusing on gear. Actually spend that money, travel, take those bad shots, get better until they turn portfolio items, and then later on you could buy that more expensive camera because you're going to be able to get a better return on your investment. 3, we're going to stop shooting in harsh light. Shoot at golden hour, blue hour, twilight, shoot throughout the night. Just don't shoot in the middle of the day unless you have something like an overcast that's going to diffuse that light. The second one, you need to use your light meter. It's going to make sure that you're actually properly exposing your photographs so that you're not very disappointed when you get home, upload them in your computer, and you just can't use it. And then number 1, fix your composition. Stop shooting flat, confusing photographs. You need that foreground, midground, background, and you need some sort of strong element that's going to focus your viewers in to your subject, which also means you need a subject in your photograph, unlike, like I said, that first beach one that it just has the sand, ocean, and the sky. Like, there was nothing there besides those, which again, kind of cool if you're looking for a little bit more of a abstract art, I guess. But for the most part, as a professional photographer, that wouldn't be something that I would put in my portfolio, because there's nothing really there. It's confusing, it's flat. So that's what that all means. So if you guys learned anything in this video, please let me know down below. You could also ask any questions that you might have. If you're not quite doing things right, you could send your photos over to me on my social medias. I'll not tag them, but they'll display here. But you guys could send them to me there, tag me in them, and I'd love to help you out with your photography if you guys have any questions or anything like that. So also, while you're down in the description box below, because that's where you could go to my social medias, they're all linked for you. Also make sure you are bear pawing that like button. It really goes a long way in helping me, one, know that you are enjoying these videos and keep making more of these for you guys, but it also is going to help kind of promote these to other people looking for I'm stumbling here. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Be safe during this time, and go be creative.